The lies we believed until we chose ourselves. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. I'm Leanne Dolce, pronounced Dolce like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today's conversation draws from a powerful exchange with Lalani Reaves, a licensed therapist, domestic violence survivor, author, and PhD candidate who has transformed her pain into a thriving private practice and a devotional that's rebuilding lives one page at a time. Lalani left an abusive relationship in 2011, and since then, she's been rewriting the script on what survival can become when you refuse to let trauma have the last word. Her work is changing lives, and her story is proof that you can turn your deepest wounds into your greatest offering to the world. So let's talk about the lies that abuse whispers, the lies that trauma plants, the lies that survival mode convinces you are truth. Lies like, you're not enough. You're too much. You're broken beyond repair. You deserve what happened. You'll never be whole again. You should be grateful just to be alive. Lalani spent years unlearning those lies. And here's the part that no one prepares you for, the part that doesn't make it into the survivor brochures or the motivational Instagram posts. She was diagnosed with depression and anxiety after leaving. After. When it was supposed to be over, when she was supposed to be safe, when she was supposed to exhale and move on and start fresh. But trauma doesn't care about your timeline. It doesn't respect your new address or your changed locks or your restraining order. It shows up anyway, uninvited, relentless, demanding to be dealt with. And that's the truth about leaving that nobody talks about. The hardest part isn't always the leaving itself, it's what comes after. It's the PTSD that arrives when you finally feel safe. It's the depression that creeps in when the adrenaline fades. It's the anxiety that lingers even when the threat is gone. Lalani told me something that I think every woman who's ever survived anything needs to hear. She said it took years to undo the harmful messages about herself that she had internalized from that relationship. Years, not days, not weeks, not months, years. Because healing isn't a sprint, it's not even a marathon. It's a slow, messy, non-linear journey that requires you to choose yourself over and over and over again, even when it feels impossible, even when you're tired, even when you're not sure you have anything left to give. And that's where self love becomes the foundation, not the Instagram kind, not the bubble bath and face mask kind, though those are lovely too. The kind that says, I will not internalize the lies that abuse told me about who I am. The kind that says, I will go to therapy even when it's hard, even when I have to relive the pain, even when I'd rather pretend I'm fine. The kind that says, I will lean into my faith, even when I feel broken, even when I'm angry, even when I don't understand why this happened to me. The kind that says, I am worth the work it takes to rebuild. Self love in Lalani's story became the bedrock of her entire transformation. And she's not alone in this. Let me tell you about Tarana Burke. You know her name because of the Me Too movement, but you know her story. Tarana grew up in the Bronx. She survived childhood sexual abuse. She watched her friends endure unreported assaults in silence, their pain dismissed, and their voices ignored, their worth questioned. She could have let that pain consume her. She could have carried the shame that abuse tried to hand her. Instead, she turned inward. She embraced therapy. She leaned into her faith. She built grassroots networks to support survivors of domestic violence and sexual abuse, particularly young women of color in low income communities who had nowhere else to turn. In 2006, long before the hashtag went viral, long before the movement became a global reckoning, Tarana created Me Too to give survivors a space to heal, to speak, to reclaim their worth. She revolutionized mental health support for abuse survivors, inspiring community agencies to prioritize therapy and self love as essential components of healing. In 2017, Time magazine named her Person of the Year. But the real impact? It's not the magazine cover, it's the thousands of women who finally felt seen, who finally felt worthy, who finally chose themselves because Tarana chose herself first. That's what self love does. It doesn't just heal you, it creates a ripple effect that heals everyone you touch. It becomes a permission slip for other women to believe they deserve healing too. Now, let's talk about hope and persistence because Lalani's journey didn't stop at survival. She didn't just leave abuse and call it a day. She became a licensed therapist and she launched her own private practice. She wrote a devotional for women rebuilding their lives. She's pursuing her PhD. She collaborated with agencies to deliver mental health services to communities that desperately needed them. She turned her pain into a platform, her trauma into a testimony, her survival into service. And she's not the only one. Dr. Thema Bryant, a Black clinical psychologist, survived relational trauma and faced professional barriers in a field that wasn't always welcoming to women who looked like her. She could have given up. She could have let the obstacles define her. Instead, she persisted. She pursued therapy. She integrated her faith. She earned her PhD. She founded therapy programs for trauma survivors. In 2023, she became the first Black female president of the American Psychological Association. Her book, Homecoming, has healed thousands of Black women navigating life after abuse. She shattered ceilings not by ignoring her pain, but by transforming it into purpose. That's what persistence looks like. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never falling apart. It's not about having it all together all the time. It's about showing up anyway. It's about taking one step, then another, then another. Even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when you're not sure you can. It's about believing that your goals are achievable with consistent effort, even when the world tells you otherwise. Lalani told me something that I want you to hear. She said her goal is to help at least one person with her story. Just one, not a million, not a movement, just one. And I think that's the most radical act of hope I've ever heard. Because when you've been through hell, when you've clawed your way out of darkness, when you've rebuilt your life from the ground up, the fact that you still believe your story can help someone, that's not just hope, that's faith, that's power, that's purpose. But let's get real for a second. Let's talk about the part nobody wants to talk about, the post abuse mental health struggles, the PTSD, the depression, the anxiety, the nights you can't sleep because your body still remembers the fear, the days you can't get out of bed because your mind is still processing the pain, the moments you feel like you're losing it because nobody warned you that safety doesn't automatically equal peace. Lalani was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and PTSD after leaving after, and she spent years undoing the harmful messages she had internalized about herself. Years, because healing isn't linear. It's messy, it's slow, it's frustrating, but it's possible. Let me tell you about Brittany Packnett Cunningham. She's a Black educator and activist who battled PTSD and anxiety from lived experiences of abuse like oppression and community violence. She could have hidden it. She could have pretended she had it all together. She could have worn the mask of strength that so many of us are taught to wear. Instead, she committed to long term therapy. She built support networks. She integrated mental health into her activism. She co founded campaigns that provided therapy access for Black women post trauma, serving over 10,000 survivors with free counseling. She normalized PTSD discussions in Black communities, partnering with agencies to provide domestic violence mental health services. Brittany didn't just survive, she thrived. And then she turned around and made sure other women could thrive too. That's what happens when you address your mental health struggles head on, when you stop pretending you're fine, when you stop carrying the weight alone, when you reach out for professional help, lean into community support, and refuse to let shame silence you. You don't just heal yourself, you create pathways for others to heal too. So here's what I want you to take away from Lalani's story, from Tarana's story, from Dr. Thima's story, from Brittany's story. Self love is the foundation of rebuilding after trauma. Not self care, not self indulgence, self love, the kind that rejects harmful messages, the kind that chooses therapy and faith and persistence, the kind that says, I am worth the effort it takes to heal. Hope and persistence turn survival into thriving. Leaving is just the beginning. Rebuilding is the work, and it's hard work, but it's possible. Goals are achievable with consistent effort. You can become a therapist with this, launch a practice, write a book, earn a PhD, change lives. You can turn your pain into purpose. You can thrive, and post abuse mental health struggles like PTSD, depression, and anxiety are real, but they are surmountable. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are healing, and healing takes time, takes help, takes community, takes faith, but it transforms pain into purpose. Now, here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to identify one harmful self message from your past. Maybe it's something an abuser told you. Maybe it's something trauma whispered in your ear. Maybe it's something you've been carrying for years, something you've believed about yourself that isn't true. I want you to counter it with a self love action. Book a therapy session, journal 3 affirmations, reach out to a community agency for support. Persistence starts with one step toward your rebuilt life. Because here's the truth, you don't have to carry the cape anymore. You don't have to be strong all the time. Softness is not weakness. It's a radical act of self love. It's a lifestyle rebellion. It's a deep exhale from the Superwoman script. It's a quiet but powerful return to rest, self trust, and radical joy. Lalani's story is proof that you can leave survival mode. You can ground yourself in joy, peace, softness, and self prioritization. You can reclaim your identity, not the version shaped by family expectations or church roles or boardroom rules, but the real you that's been waiting to bloom. So let me ask you the question that anchors every conversation on Soft Girl Era. How are you learning to be soft in a world that taught you survival? Because you deserve to rest without explanation. You deserve to set boundaries without apology. You deserve to say no without guilt. You deserve to heal in real time. You deserve to protect your peace as a practice. You deserve to turn your survival into something sacred, something supportive, something that helps at least one person. Here's what I need you to understand: your healing matters, not just for you, but for every woman who's watching you, who's listening to you, who's waiting to see if it's possible to survive and thrive. Your story matters. Your voice matters. Your choice to love yourself, to seek help, to persist, to believe that better is possible, it matters. And if no one has told you this today, let me be the one. You are not too much. You are not broken beyond repair. You did not deserve what happened to you. You are worthy of love, of peace, of softness, of joy. You are worthy of a life that feels good, not just a life that looks good. You are worthy of healing. So I'm asking you to take one step today, just one. Identify that lie you've been believing, write it down, say it out loud, and then counter it with the truth: the truth that you are enough, the truth that you are worthy, the truth that your healing is possible. Because if Lalani's story can help just one person, if Tarana's work can empower just one survivor, if Dr. Thima's journey can inspire just one woman to pursue her dreams, if Brittany's vulnerability can give just one person permission to seek help, then it's worth it. And if this conversation can inspire just one woman to choose herself, to seek help, to believe that thriving is possible, then it's worth it. So thank you, Lalani, for your courage, for your vulnerability, for your relentless commitment to turning pain into purpose. You are making the world a better place, one healed heart at a time. And to everyone listening, I want you to feel inspired by hope. I want you to feel validated in your struggles, especially the unspoken PTSD that shows up after safety. I want you to feel passionately empowered to persist in self love, knowing that one story, one step, one choice can change your entire path. This is your invitation. This is your permission slip. This is your moment to choose yourself, to believe in your healing, to step into your soft girl era. No capes allowed. Just healing, wholeness, softness, and the freedom you deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. The lies stop here. The healing starts now, and the world is waiting for the woman you're becoming.